welcome to Revelations of a Delusional Knitter. I'm Angela, your host. This is episode 102, and it is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2014. Updates and housekeeping. Welcome if you are new. If you are returning, I thank you as always. And either way, I hope you enjoy and continue to watch. If you are on iTunes, and if you would please leave a star rating and or review, I would appreciate it. Likewise, delusionalknitter.com, you can leave comments. And YouTube, you can leave comments in there as well. If you're a member of Ravelry, there's a Ravelry group, Revelations of a Delusional Knitter. You can come and join there, and then we can chat, and you can say hi. Also, on that note, I forgot to put in my show notes. I always forget something. I was planning on having a virtual knit night next Saturday, the 27th, from 6:30 Eastern Time till whenever. At least probably until like 8:30. But if people are there and we're having a good time, then till whenever. So, there will be details of that on the Ravelry group. Week in review. I haven't done much except for work again. I always laugh when I say the oh my god, date, because I never know what day it is. If you haven't watched before, if you have watched before, you know this, but if you haven't watched before, I work at a police station as a 911 dispatcher, and we work a 4-on, 2-off schedule. So I don't work Monday through Friday or anything like that, and I have random weird days off. So, and that's how it is with all of us, because we'll all be like, what's today? To the other person, and they're like, I think it's Tuesday. And then we'll look at the calendar. We always know what the date is, because we use the date all day long. So we always know what the date is of the month, but we never know what day it is. And, yesterday, actually, I thought there are certain officers that go with a local mental health agency for mental health checks once a week on Tuesday. And I have a person that I wanted to bring to their attention because he keeps calling 911 and he clearly has some issues and needs some help. And so one of the officers that does that was around dispatch yesterday around the time that they go. And I said, oh, are you doing mental health checks today? And he was like, nope. And I was like, oh, is somebody else doing them today? And he's like, nope. And I look at him and I'm like, it's not Tuesday, is it? And he's like, nope. So, yeah, never have a clue. But other than working, that's pretty much all I've been doing, and knitting, of course, because I always do that. And another thing I wanted to mention, it's not really a week in review, but I really noticed it this week while I was working on the Master Hand Knitters program. Bets a while back, I had mentioned how I always lose written patterns, paper patterns. I always lose them. They're never with the project. Mainly because I don't a lot of times put my projects in bags or anything like that. I always knit here. I watch TV or listen to a book or whatever. I always knit here, and I'm never anywhere else in the house. And I don't often bring knitting out with me because I'm not often anywhere that I would have time to do it. So, what I do though, is I leave papers all over my desk. And then I'll pay bills, you know, this is also my computer desk. I'll pay bills or do stuff, and then I have, you know, knitting books and magazines and stuff, and papers will inevitably get stuck to other things and put in a pile somewhere, or wherever they go. There must be a black hole in this room somewhere. And I will lose them. And I will spend time looking for them and wasting time, or I'll have to reprint them, or I hate reprinting them because it's such a waste of paper. So a lot of times I'll just bring them up on the computer here and just work from the screen. But Beth's mentioned, why don't you get a folder for your desk? Because I do have shelves around here and bookcases and stuff on the side. And I was like, that is such a fabulous idea. Why didn't I think of something so it's simple, but it's very smart. And then I thought to myself, you know why? Because you think that you know where you put stuff, but you don't. So, a while back, I've been using it for quite a while. I went to Walmart and I got a nice, heavy-duty plastic folder. And as you can clearly see, I've been using it. But I noticed recently, because of the Master Hand Knitters program, which has a lot of paper and a lot of instructions, I always use my folder now, and I'm never looking around for my papers or my patterns or my instructions anymore, because if I decide not to work on the project for a little while and I put it in a drawer or over there in the storage ottoman or in the closet, if I really don't plan on working on it for a while, I keep putting my current in use patterns in that folder, and I can always find them now. revelations. I have an FO. Ravello is done. It is not washed or blocked, and the ends are not woven in. But I have finished knitting it, and everything is bound off. So this is my Ravello, and I love it. And I'm hoping blocking it will give it a little more ease, because the pattern calls for like 5.625 stitches per inch or something, and I have closer to 6, but that's like a fraction of a stitch. I understand it's per inch, and that accumulates to something once it goes around the sweater, but it is in a figuring weight yarn on thicker needles, and as you can see, it's got a lot of give there, so I think I can block it a bit. And my sleeves are matchy-matchy. Doing the stripe section wasn't a big deal because there's X amount of rows per stripe. So what I just did was I had the first sleeve, which I had measured out to make sure that it was long enough, because I'm small and I usually wear a small or something like that, but my arms are long. So a lot of times, like this is actually a medium, because if I get a small in like a long sleeve shirt, inevitably the sleeves are not long enough and they end up, you know, up here. So what I did was I went to the first sleeve that I had finished, and I just counted out all the rows after the stripes, and I put in these little markers every 10 rows or so, and I came up with 61 rows until I got to the ribbing. And so when I did the next sleeve, all I did was the same thing. I would do 10 rows, and after like the 12th, you know, I would put a marker in the 10th row, so it wasn't in the way while I was knitting, and then that's an easy way. That way you don't have to keep counting 60-something rows. You can clearly see 10, 20, 30, you know. I might have, actually, I think I did them every 20. But, you know, same idea. That way you don't have to keep continually going back and counting large amounts of rows all the time. These markers work great for that. And then, I have a few sweaters in my queue that I would like to knit soon. However, I still have 2 sweaters on the needles. So I said, you know, should probably finish up the other sweaters. So this one has been on the needles for a long time, since 2010 actually. I looked it up the other day. And this is a February lady sweater. And all it needs is sleeves. I had finished the body a few months ago. So this is my February lady sweater. I picked up one sleeve and started it, and that's going well. And this is the same problem I have with Ravello, although the gauge on this one is exact. If I measure the garter stitch gauge, it's right on with the pattern, so I don't know why this is a little smaller. And I'm knitting this a size larger than my own size, so it should really not be small. But I'm thinking garter stitch stretches a lot, usually vertically, but and this is all lace, so I'm sure once I block this one, it'll stretch out quite a bit. That's what I'm hoping anyway. It still fits anyway, it's just a little more snug than I would prefer. And, you know, more snug than it's supposed to be from the pattern. So, those are the 2 sweaters, and then I have my socks. And on my socks you can see the actual pattern of the yarn. This is an opal yarn. I said on the last episode, I don't know where the tag is, so I don't know what it is. It's almost like a faux fair isle, kind of a striping pattern going on. I was a little concerned because this looks really wide. I have pretty narrow feet. But it's 64 stitches, and I'm getting 9 stitches per inch, or close to 9 stitches per inch, so there's nothing wrong with this sock at all. And I've tried it on and it fits fine. I think because I typically do a much narrower toe, but I figured I would just follow her pattern exactly. These are toe-up socks with a difference by Wendy Johnson this time. Because I've knit it many times before, but I usually, she even says in the pattern, if you prefer a narrower toe, cast on less stitches and increase, you know, longer till you get to 64. So I decided I'm just going to try it and see how these work, you know, as her pattern is. But I think that's why I think they look big, but they're not. So that's my socks. And that's all I've been knitting on, except for the Knitting Guild Association's Master Hand Knitting Program. I keep calling it the Knitters Guild Association. It is the Knitting Guild Association. So, it doesn't matter, I'm sure if you Googled it and you looked up Knitters Guild Association, it'd still come up, but correction, because I noticed that the other day. I'm like, you keep calling it the wrong thing. So, that one, for level 1, I pretty much have all the swatches done. I have one more swatch to do that requires you to write a pattern for the swatch. And there's a project. And the project is a mitten. Solo. When I had seen the program when I first started it, I looked at it and I was like, a mitten? I can do that. I cast this thing on 4 times before I got the cuff right. And the instructions are there. They're telling you what to do. It's got this, I don't want to call it weird because it's not weird, it's very pretty. But it's this twisted cuff thing here. And the problem I was having is that you do knit 2 together through the back loop to make this shape there. So obviously you need to increase, otherwise your cuff will get smaller and smaller. So the increase is a make 1 open, and you're picking up the running thread between the 2 stitches before the decrease. Doesn't sound very difficult, does it? You're doing a twisted decrease, and you're doing the make 1 opens on top of each other. It's very hard to find the running thread, so I finally figured out where it was, because the problem that kept happening is I did not have 2 distinct columns of stitches there. I had 1 stitch and a funky looking stitch because I think I kept picking up half of a stitch, not the running thread. Because when you do that decrease thing, there was this weird wrapped thing there, and it wasn't clear like stockinette. It wasn't like a clear running thread. There was the decrease and the increase below it that made it look strange. And that was proving very difficult. So this time, though, I finally got it right, and I think it looks good. So I'm going to go with it and finish up the mitt. And the rest of it, I'm thinking will go fine, because the rest of it I'm familiar with. I had never done this type of cuff thing before, so that was proving to be quite difficult. Also, the gauge I'm hoping is on. I did do a gauge swatch. I didn't do it in the round. I did the cheat version where you knit across and then you loop the yarn and push it back almost like an I-cord and then knit across again. That way you're not purling, so you are just knitting as if you were knitting in the round, but you don't have to cast on as many stitches. And I had done it, I did, you know, an inch on the size 5s, and then I did a purl bump, and then I did an inch on the size 6s, just in case, because I typically have to go up a needle size for what patterns say. And, excuse me, I can't count the stitches differently. They both look the same to me, so I don't know. So I ended up doing them on the size 5s, like the pattern called for. And at this point, I have enough to measure. Now it's not blocked, though. And I'm getting very close to gauge. It's supposed to be 5.5 stitches per inch. I'm getting 5 3/4 or almost 6. So I'm hoping once it's blocked, it's right. Otherwise, I will be knitting it again on size 6s, I guess. I didn't want to do it on the 6s, though, and then find out that it was way too big. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. String theory. I haven't been doing any spinning, but there's a big spinning event coming up in October, which is called Spinzilla. And Spinzilla is the spinning and weaving group of TNNA, which is the National Needle Workers Association. They wanted to create an event in which spinners of all skill levels could participate. I got this from their website. Spinzilla is first and foremost a celebration of spinning. The competition is designed to motivate spinners to learn new skills, take risks, and spin their hearts out. It's a yardage or a mileage contest. It is also a fundraiser for the Needle Arts Mentoring Program, and that connects adult mentors with school-age children to teach the needle arts: spinning, weaving, knitting, crochet, and stitching. So here's what I figured. If you're on a team, your mileage or yardage is a contribution to the team as a whole. I don't want to be responsible for that. So I am a rogue spinner, which means you're on your own, and they have prizes for that classification, and then they have prizes for the teams. I don't even care if I win a prize, that's not the point. Since the money, which was only $10 registration fee for a rogue spinner, goes to a fundraiser like that, I don't even care if I participate or not. I fully intend to participate, but I figured at least if, worst case, I don't, the money went somewhere good. So what I would like to do for myself, for Spinzilla, is I have 2 previous Into the World fibers that were club shipments that I think go well together. I'm going to spin them both up and then ply them against each other. One is Portuguese Merino, one is Merino. Merino isn't really a breed of sheep, it's more of like a class or a group of sheep kind of a thing. So they should be very similar. And this is, the first one is Dream Sequence, and that was the December 2013 club shipment, and that's the Portuguese Merino. And the other one, which I got recently, which made me think, oh, that really looks like that other one, I should put them together. This one is Follow the Butterflies, and it's the August 2014 shipment, and it's just Merino. And that's that one. But I think these go fabulously together, and I think they'll look really, really good. So that's my plan. I would like to ply up these 8 ounces and spin them together. I just said that so backwards. Welcome to my life. I'm having another one of those days. Weeks, months, years, apparently it is. So that's what I'm going to do for Spinzilla. For scrolls, I don't have any book review for this episode. I do have a bunch from Cooperative Press that I got recently, but I haven't had time. I only got them a couple days ago, so I didn't have time to really look at them. So there will be book reviews in the future and giveaways for those books. What I did want to mention is, with the Knitters Master... Oh my god, these names are killing me today. The Master Hand Knitters program. I've been building up my reference library because you need to cite sources and things like that, or just to learn, you know. And I've actually been learning a ton with this program. I'm pleasantly surprised, because when I first saw it, I was like, I can do all that. Not like a jerk, not like I'm great, but, you know, like, oh, I've done all that before. What am I learning? I have been learning a ton. I plan on, in a future episode, once I finish my submission and mail it off, I plan on going over the entire thing for everybody if they're interested. Anyway, there were 2 books, 3 actually, that I had been looking for. And 2 of them I think are not in print anymore. So they are difficult to find. Amazon definitely has them, and booksellers on Amazon have them, but they're charging a lot because they're out of print. So, I had found another site through the Ravelry group for the Master Hand Knitters Guild where somebody had mentioned it. And it's called abebooks.com. Abe, like Abe Lincoln, A-B-E. And, or Alpha Bravo Echo, if you work for the police. I now know that alphabet very well. So, I went on there. And what it is it's almost like an eBay for booksellers. Mom and pop stores, small local booksellers can post their listings on there and sell them, you know, anywhere, because people can find them on the internet. And I got 2 of the major name books. One is the Big Book of Knitting by Katrina Buss. That one hasn't arrived yet. The other one is this one, the Reader's Digest Knitter's Handbook. And this one everybody raves about. I got each one of these books for $4, including shipping. Wow. This one was $1 plus shipping for $3.99. And this one, they clearly have like preset categories that they can put their books in. Like new. No marks, no writing, no nothing. You know, very good, excellent condition. Some writing, very minimal. Dust jacket may be scratched or torn. You know, rest of the book is fine, kind of things. This one was in very good, excellent condition, and it is. The dust jacket is dirty and torn at the edges, and the edges of the book are a little frayed. There's one thing of writing I've found in it so far, which is on the inside cover, because clearly somebody purchased this for somebody's birthday and wrote them a note in it. The remainder of the book has no writing, no torn pages, no marks, no nothing. For $1. I'm very particular about books. I have a lot of books, I have a lot of bookcases in my house, and I have a lot of books. My husband is probably so happy that somebody invented the e-reader, because I would have my entire house full of books if I could. All of my books, even if I've read them, except paperbacks will get, you know, the spine thing, but they never have, like, torn pages, they're never dirty, they're never messed up. All my books are in very, very good condition, and books are very important to me. And so I kind of was on the fence about, like, I don't want some used book somebody wrote in it, you know, it's dirty, the pages are torn. But then I was like, well, you know what though? You can't keep spending all this money on these books. You've gone a little crazy lately buying books. So I was like, well, I'll give it a shot, you know? And I couldn't be happier with a $4 book, if that's all that's wrong with it. Like, that's fantastic. And the other one supposedly is new, or looks new, and that also is only $4. So I think I'm going to go that way when I want to buy more books, because it's so much less expensive, and they're in perfectly fine condition for what they are. So 8 books if you're looking for books. It's got every, you know, any books that you're looking for. The out-of-print books, especially if you're looking for. Alright, so that's my book rant. It's not really a rant, but... so now we are on to Testaments. And the Red Barn Yarn Company is having a big promotion. And it's a Name That Yarn contest. And I have Stephanie from Stitchcraft Marketing held aside a purple skein for me. So I have a lovely purple skein of the yarn here. This is the lovely yarn that the contest is for naming, and like I said, it's Red Barn yarn, and this is 45% merino, 40% alpaca, and 15% mohair. It is a 2-ply worsted weight yarn. It's approximately 225 yards. And here's what I have to say about it. Because of the alpaca and the mohair, it's got a lovely sheen to it, like a silky, glassy look to it. It's super soft and squishy. It's been sitting on my desk all week while I've been waiting to record, and I keep petting it. They're hand-dyed, so they have lovely, variegated tones to the yarn colors. And it's a nice, plump, squishy, lovely yarn. It's got some alpaca in it, so I am guessing once it's used and knit up and washed and blocked, it's going to start to bloom and have a little bit of a halo to it that's going to be lovely. It's a very interesting blend with the merino, alpaca, and mohair. And from what I know, and I'm guessing, and this is a good thing, a lot of manufacturers put nylon in their yarns to stabilize them and make them stronger. Like sock yarn, we all know most of them have nylon in them. Mohair is another way to do that, but naturally, without putting nylon in there. So this should be a very strong yarn with that mohair content in there. And the alpaca and the merino make it super soft, and the merino makes it very plush and springy. And the alpaca is going to make it very warm and soft. So that is the yarn base that needs a name, what I've just described to you. So the details, entrants will need to submit their yarn name with an explanation of their inspiration. So whatever name you come up with, give them a little bit of detail, how you came up with that name. And you're going to send that to info@redbarnyarn.com. They just ask that you put name this yarn contest submission as the subject line to be eligible, and so that they know what your email is for. And while they're encouraging creativity in all directions, they'd like to remind people to keep it PG. The contest ends November 15th, 2014, so you have to have your entry in by then. And winners will be announced on November 25th. The grand prize is a 1-year subscription to Love of Knitting magazine. That's one of the judges. There's 3 judges, and you can find more information on their website about that. A sweater's worth of the as-yet unnamed yarn, so if you're the first prize winner, you'll get a year's subscription to Love of Knitting magazine, and you'll get 7 skeins of this yarn, which equates to 1,575 yards, and a special tag with their name on it for the first year of sales following the promotion. So if you're the winner, there's going to be special tags on the yarn for the first year. Second and third place runners-up, they'll get 1-year subscription to Love of Knitting magazine plus 2 skeins of the yarn, which is enough to make a shawl or hat and mittens or a cowl or something like that. So yeah, check that out. Also, if you want, since you can't squish this like I can and pet it, you can request a free sample of the yarn at info@redbarnyarn.com. So if you send them a little email and tell them you'd like a sample, you can get a sample before you come up with a name. So that's that for Red Barn Yarn. And there's the lovely, lovely yarn that needs a name. Alright, and now I think I'm going to take a little break because my camera's going to run out of time. I was trying so hard to get this in on one episode, but it never happens. So, I will reset the camera, and I'll be right back. Alright, and we're back. So now we're on to Heresy. And I mentioned before that I have 5 designs for knitwear rolling around in my head here. And one's going to be a sweater. Eventually. What I was trying to do is, I do have a couple of reference books I'd like to get through, and some craftsy classes that I would like to get through that have to do with sweater design before I try and tackle that. I've knit sweaters. There's a big difference between knitting it from a pattern and designing one. So, but some of the other ones were smaller and that I have designed before, so I can definitely do those. Now, one of them I'm going to do while doing something else. And the Loopy U is a store, an online store. They're also an actual brick and mortar store, but I think they moved one year. I want to say Colorado, but I'm not sure if that's where they were previously. I think they're in Colorado, but they're online. And they usually do every summer, they do Camp Loopy, and they have, you know, certain requirements for you to knit something, and then you can post the pictures. It's almost like a knit along, but they have prizes. Now, they've decided to do one for fall and winter, so kind of have things going on all year long. And this one is called the Loopy Academy, so they figured since people are going back to school and stuff, have more of a school-themed thing. So they're doing the Loopy Academy, and I joined in on that one. And it's pretty cool, because it's a little different. What it is, so freshman year, your first semester assignments, each project needs to use at least 175 yards, and you have from September 3rd until December 31st to finish these 3 items. So semester is usually, 3 months. The first one is a cowl in a multicolored yarn, so variegated, meaning distinct different colors. Could be also self-striping, and it's fingering weight. And so I had planned on designing an infinity cowl. This will give me the kick in the butt to do it. So I did purchase some yarn from Loopy to participate, and this stuff is gorgeous. I've never even heard of it before. It's fabulous. Sakusu, I guess they're in the UK, because they have a UK website on the back, but that's the company, the dyer. And it's this lovely purple and yellow and like tealy blue kind of a color. It's really beautiful. So I'm going to design a cowl with this, and that will also count as my project. And then the other ones are a hat from a designer new to you in a sport or DK weight. And then the third one is mittens in a solid or semi-solid colorway in a worsted weight. Extra credit if you use a new to you cast on or bind off. So I thought that was really cool because you have a fingering weight project, you have a sport or DK weight project, and a worsted weight project. And 3 completely different things. So I thought that was really cool, so I decided I will participate in that. You can check that out. You can go to loopyu.com, and they also have a Ravelry group, and they have a blog, so you can find that. I'll link to everything I'm talking about in the show notes. So, I also got, Hiya. I got some new cable needles. I have cable needles. I have a Knit Picks one, which I like a lot, but sometimes it's a pain in the butt. It's great that it's got this, but at the same time, sometimes it's a pain. It's got little notches in it, so that the yarn sticks to it and doesn't slide out. Like if you have the metal cable needles, like the ones shaped like this, or the ones with the hook. Sometimes the hook one definitely, while you're knitting, can just whoop, fall right out of your knitting. But this one I was actually like fighting with to get the stitches off because it works so well sometimes. So Hiya had some when I was looking at that yarn. And they're plastic, but they're this cool like glittery plastic. And I like the shape a lot, and I thought that they would work a lot better. Plus there's 3 different sizes, because that was another thing with my Knit Picks one. It's a small, So it either gets stuck to the yarn if it's fingering weight yarn, or it's so small that if I'm knitting on a worsted weight or a chunky, it's so small it falls out of the stitches. So got a couple of cable needles. And now we're on to the seasonal sock syndrome knit along. So one session ended 2 days ago, September 21st. There were 33 entries. I'm not going to do the drawing on the podcast. I will post it on the Ravelry group, but I just wanted to show the prizes again and the people that donated and the current session. So these are the prizes that will be awarded shortly, but the current session is running September 22nd to December 20th, so you have another chance, and I got lots of other great prizes for that. And for the current one, I just figured you can pull out your, holiday-themed colorways, Halloween, Christmas, autumn, whatever. Anything goes for this one. And so the prizes I'm going to award for the summer session, I have white birch fiber arts, and this is Nothing Says Screw You Like a Rainbow. This is a self-striping yarn, and it's really, really cool. Sorry for the crinkling. And the light blue section actually knits up almost like a cloudy sky. It's really cool. And then, why am I looking at my show notes? I didn't write these down. I have stitch markers from Calliope's Fiber. I hope that's going to show in there. And I just randomly picked out of the bag. I have the little circuit board looking ones. And then she gave with each set knitting ones. So they say like knit two together, yarn over, make one kind of things. And then I have from Fiber Nymph Dye Works, I have Sea Monsters Need Love 2. That's going to be one of the prizes. That's from Lisa at Fiber Nymph Dye Works. And then I have this lovely yarn, and she specifically mentioned to me this is one of her favorite colorways, and it's a very good fall colorway. So this isn't the fall session, but it's going into fall, so I figured I would use it for this prize drawing. This is Ruffled, is the colorway by Quere Fibers in the sparkly base, and it's just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous autumnal colors. So, yeah, sorry for the crinkling, but things that came in bags, since they're prizes, I like to just leave them packaged up. So that's it for the seasonal socks that I'm knit along. So if you want to knit socks, come and join us on the Ravelry board. Now I have some Ravelry patterns for you. When I was preparing my show notes for this episode, I always laugh because I, kill everybody's pattern names or names. And I was copying and pasting into my show notes, and the first one that came up, I was like, oh my god. So this one is Phil Louise, I have no idea, by Valerie Miller. And it's in a light fingering weight yarn. It is a sweater with a colorwork yoke with spinning wheels on it. This thing is so cool. Check that out. That's really cool. It's free. It's a free pattern. I'm getting a little excited today. Sorry. I really want to knit that. It's got spinning wheels on it. It's so awesome. The next one is the Leafy Washcloth, which I thought was really cool. I'm not a huge, knitted washcloth knitter person, or cotton yarn person. But I did recently, it hasn't come yet, I ordered some of that Dishy from Knit Picks to try out. This is just a really cool shaped, it's shaped like a leaf, dishcloth. Also free. So that's a really cool one, especially gift giving. I have given knitted washcloths as gifts before. And then the last one isn't a particular pattern. I just wanted to point it out to people. What it is it's Tin Can Knits, and it's called the Simple Collection. And it's a collection of different patterns. They're all free. And each one is kind of a different technique to help you learn how to knit certain things. So there's hats, mitts, gloves, sweaters, all kinds of things. So I'll just bring up all the, I'm not going to bring up each one, but I'll bring up the page of the pattern so you can see there's like a cowl and a hat There's a children's sweater, adult sweater. It's the same sweater pattern, but it's sized for each. You know, and it's just a really good way. There's tutorials on their website and all kinds of stuff in this e-booklet. And it's completely free. And it's just there to help people learn how to knit different things. So I thought that was a really cool pattern. And I like the sweater. I'll show you the sweater. This is how I found it, actually. I clicked the link for this sweater. This sweater is called Flax. It's a really cool sweater. There's that sweater. And like I said, it's more than just a pattern. There are actually like tutorials and stuff. So if you've never knit a sweater before, that would be a really good first sweater pattern to do, because it really helps you along in the knitting. So that's it for Ravelry Patterns. Excuse me. I don't know what I inhaled in this room, but something is really bothering my allergies today. Probably inhaled some fiber or something. So now we are on to delusional jabber. I don't have a lot. You're like, oh, thank God, she's going to shut up soon. Sorry. I'm in one of those moods again today. I've been in a really strange mood for the last couple of weeks. So, all I've really been doing is reading, and not at work. At work, I've been on Ravelry a lot, cleaning up my Ravelry queue and on the forums on there and stuff like that, because now that I'm on the 3 to 11 shift and not the 11 to 7 anymore, I don't have time to read. And even if it's a quiet day for 3 to 11, which is nothing compared to the other shifts, the other week I did have my Kindle and I was trying to read. It never failed. Every single time I picked it up, put the power button, slid to start, 911 would ring. Every single time. It took me 4 hours one day to read a chapter in a book. And I didn't even really know what I read. So I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not even going to bring it with me anymore because it's just a waste of time. So I have been cleaning up my Ravelry queue and finding patterns and favoriting things a lot, and Pinterest and things like that. But at home, I'm reading Allegiant by Veronica Roth, and I'm almost done with that. I think I'm up to like 70% now. 60, 70%, I don't know. And for TV, I haven't been watching a lot of TV either because of that. Because on the 11 to 7 shift, we used to be able to sit there and watch TV because nothing would happen for a couple of hours in the middle of the night. But now I get up, you know, do some stuff around the house, do some chores, get dressed, go to work. I get out at 11. I knit for like an hour, listen to a book or watch a podcast or something, and then I go back to bed. So that's it. I did catch up on Extant and Outlander, and there's lots of new stuff starting this week. So I do have to get on top of it because soon I'm going to be way, way behind. And the only other thing I have to show you this week, I'm looking around like I'm missing something, right? Like there's gotta be, I have to be missing something because I always shut the camera off and find something. What I have is, I dyed up some Halloween colorways. I was hoping to have more, but I'm not sure I'm going to have time now before, I wanted to get them out before October, so if people wanted to buy them for, you know, Halloween yarn, they could actually knit them in October. So there may still be 2 other colorways coming out, but I can't promise that because I also wanted to do some Christmas colorways and I really want to get those done now so I'm not in the same situation. I had these Halloween colorways planned out in like July, but I never had time to dye them. So yeah, I try. So what I have 3 colorways up for Halloween. And what I have is candy corn, and that is orange, yellow, and white. These are self-striping. These are 3-stripe repeats, and if depending on your gauge, typically you'll get about 6 rows per repeat. So like, what is that, like half an inch or something? They're pretty good size repeats. So one is candy corn, and one is, I don't know what I'm going to call this yet. I don't know if I'm going to call it peanut butter cup or Reese's, but it's, you know, Reese's peanut butter cup package. That's that one. And then I have one I've done in the past. It's called Boo. And it's bright green and black and purple. And this one's a little bit lighter than I usually do. So it is black dye, but it's a little bit lighter. It's more of like a really dark, dark charcoal gray. So that's Boo. And like I said, these will stripe. These are self-striping. They were very, very large 36-foot skeins. So they have 12-foot repeats of color in them. So that's that, and I think that is it for this week. I'm thinking I'm not recording next week because I only have one day off because I did some swaps and some stuff for people. And then next week is Spinzilla. But I have 3 days off that week, so I will probably record again the first week in October. And don't forget, if you want to come join the virtual knit night, should be September 27th, starting after 6:30 p.m. And on the Ravelry board, there's a thread for that, and if you go in there, then there'll be the link to the Google Hangout. And that's that. So, this was a really long episode, and I thought, since I just recorded last week, I wouldn't have much to say. So I thank you for joining me. I hope you've had a wonderful week. I hope you're enjoying your knitting and spinning and everything else in your life, and have a good one. Happy knitting and spinning.